The prairie had a way of keeping secrets. It held the tracks of passing travelers, the echoes of gunfire long gone, and now, something far more fragile, two hearts circling each other, unsure which step might break the spell. Clara woke before dawn, her thoughts restless. Sleep had come easily these past nights, but peace did not mean clarity. Every time she closed her eyes, she saw Ethan's face by the fire. The way his voice softened when he spoke to her. The way he'd stood between her and Cole Turner without hesitation. She dressed quietly and stepped outside. The air was cool, carrying the promise of a warm day. She wrapped her arms around herself, gazing across the land that had begun to feel dangerously like home. Couldn't sleep. Ethan's voice came from behind her. She turned. He stood on the porch, shirt sleeves rolled up, hair still uncombed, looking more human than she'd ever seen him. "Too much on my mind," she admitted. He joined her by the fence, resting his arms on the top rail. For a while, neither spoke. "I'm not used to someone caring whether I stay or go," Clara said at last. "It makes me nervous." Ethan nodded. "I'm not used to wanting someone to stay." Their eyes met. That was all it took. The distance between them closed slowly, as if either of them might still change their mind. Ethan stopped just short of touching her. "If this is too much," he began. "It's not," she said quickly. Then softer, "It scares me because it matters." He exhaled slowly, the truth of her words settling in his chest. They spent the day repairing the south fence, working closer than usual. Their hands brushed. Their shoulders bumped. Each accidental touch lingered longer than it should have. At one point, Clara reached up to pass him a tool. Her sleeve slipped, and Ethan's gaze followed the curve of her arm to where the neckline of her dress dipped just slightly. He looked away at once, jaw tightening. "Ethan," she said quietly. He froze. "I know what I look like," she continued. "I've been reminded all my life what I'm not." He turned to her, his eyes steady. "Then let me remind you what you are." Her breath caught. "You're honest," he said. "You're strong. And you're here because you chose to be, not because you were taken or traded or forced." Tears welled in her eyes. "You really see me." "I do." That afternoon, a rider appeared in the distance. Clara's heart sank. It was Cole Turner again. He approached slowly, eyes fixed on her as if he'd known exactly where to find her. "I told you to leave," Ethan said, stepping forward. Turner smirked. "Just passing through. Thought I'd check on the lady." "She doesn't need checking on," Ethan snapped. Turner's gaze lingered on Clara. "You sure about that? Women like her don't last long alone." Before Ethan could move, Clara stepped forward. "I'm not alone," she said firmly. "And I don't belong to you, or anyone else." Turner's smile faded. "Careful, girl." Ethan moved instantly, placing himself between them. His voice was low. "You've said your piece. Ride." Turner stared him down for a long moment, then spat into the dirt. "Enjoy it while it lasts." When he was gone, silence settled heavily. Clara's hands trembled. Ethan reached for her without thinking, steadying her. She didn't pull away. Instead, she leaned into him. The contact was electric. "I don't want to be afraid anymore," she whispered. "Then don't be," he said softly. "Not here." He lifted her chin gently, giving her every chance to stop him. She didn't. Their kiss was slow, tentative at first, like they were learning the shape of something precious. Then deeper. Real. When they pulled apart, Clara rested her forehead against his chest. "This changes things," she said. "Yes," he replied. "But I don't regret it." Neither did she. As night fell, they sat together by the fire again, closer than ever. The prairie stretched endlessly around them, but for once, it didn't feel empty. It felt like it was holding its breath. Because love, once awakened, could not be ignored. And neither of them could pretend anymore. Morning came softly to the prairie. The sun crept over the horizon in pale gold streaks, washing the land in warmth and quiet. Birds stirred in the grass. The wind carried the smell of dew and distant cattle. Ethan Cole rose before dawn, as he always did. Habit pulled him from sleep long before thought had a chance to follow. But today felt different. There was another presence in the house. He paused near the stove, listening. From down the hall came the faint sound of movement. A door creaked. Footsteps, careful, hesitant. Clara. She emerged into the kitchen wearing the same dress from the night before, though she had brushed the dust from it as best she could. Her hair hung loose around her shoulders now, dark and slightly tangled, catching the morning light in a way that made Ethan look twice. "I hope I didn't sleep too late," she said softly. "You didn't," he replied. "I'm always up before the sun." She nodded, glancing around as if seeing the ranch house clearly for the first time. "It's peaceful here." "It gets lonely," Ethan said honestly. That surprised her. She studied him for a moment, as if measuring the weight behind his words. "I can help," she said suddenly. "Just for today. To earn my meal." Ethan hesitated. He wasn't used to sharing his space, or his work. "You don't owe me anything." "I know," she said quickly. "But I need to feel useful." He nodded at last. "All right. But don't overdo it." They stepped outside together. The prairie stretched endlessly, grass shimmering under the rising sun. Clara breathed it in, closing her eyes briefly as if committing the moment to memory. Ethan watched her from the corner of his eye. "You've been on the road long?" he asked. "Since spring," she said. "I was heading west." "Or, anywhere, really." "Family?" Her shoulders stiffened. "Not anymore." He didn't push. They worked side by side that morning, feeding the horses, carrying water, tending to small repairs around the barn. Clara moved carefully at first, unsure of herself, but her confidence grew with each task. She wasn't delicate. She was determined. At one point, she lifted a bucket that was clearly too heavy. Ethan stepped in quickly, taking it from her hands. "I said don't overdo it." She laughed softly, embarrassed. "I'm stronger than I look." "I don't doubt it," he said. Their eyes met, and something unspoken passed between them, recognition, maybe. Respect. By midday, the sun climbed higher, warming Clara's skin. Her dress clung slightly from sweat, the low neckline revealing just enough to make Ethan aware of her presence in a way he hadn't expected. He forced his eyes away, uncomfortable with the direction of his thoughts. They ate lunch under the shade of the porch. Clara sat on the steps, fanning herself. "You've lived here alone a long time," she said. "Long enough," he replied. "Why?" Ethan stared out at the prairie. "Some men are built for quiet." She considered that. "I don't believe that." He looked at her. "No. No," she said softly. "I think some men learn to survive without what they want." The word settled between them. That evening, as the sky turned pink and gold again, Clara stood by the fence watching the sunset. Ethan approached quietly. "You're welcome to stay another night," he said. "If you want." Her breath caught. "I don't want to be a burden." "You're not." She turned to face him. The light painted her face in warmth, softening her features, highlighting her eyes. "Why are you doing this?" she asked. Ethan thought about it carefully. "Because you were honest. And because, this place doesn't feel so empty with you here." Clara swallowed hard. No one had said something like that to her in a very long time. "Thank you," she whispered. As darkness fell, they sat near the fire outside, close enough to feel each other's warmth. The prairie sang around them, crickets, wind, distant night sounds. Neither of them touched. Neither of them moved away. And both of them felt it now, clear and undeniable. This wasn't just kindness anymore. It was the slow, dangerous beginning of something that could change them both. The prairie wind had a way of reminding a man how small he was. Ethan Cole stood at the edge of his ranch porch, watching the tall grass bend and sway beneath a fading Wyoming sunset. The sky burned orange and gold, stretching endlessly in every direction, just like the years he had spent alone out here. 7 years. 7 years since the ranch had heard laughter. 7 years since a woman's footsteps had crossed his floor. Life had narrowed down to chores, cattle, and silence. And Ethan had convinced himself that was enough. Until the knock came. 3 soft taps on the door. Not firm. Not confident. Almost apologetic. Ethan frowned. No neighbor lived close enough to wander by at dusk. And travelers rarely came this far unless something had gone terribly wrong. He opened the door slowly. The woman standing there looked like she might collapse if the wind shifted wrong. Her dress was dusty and worn thin, clinging to her figure from days of travel. The bodice dipped low enough to hint at curves beneath the grime, but there was no vanity in the way she stood, only exhaustion. Her shoulders sagged, and her hands trembled as she clutched a small cloth bundle to her chest. She didn't look at him at first. I'm sorry to bother you," she said quietly. Her voice was hoarse, like she hadn't spoken much lately. "I was told there might be a ranch out this way." Ethan said nothing, studying her carefully. Experience had taught him to read people before trusting them. She swallowed hard. "I don't need money. I don't need a place to stay." Her eyes flicked toward the empty prairie behind her. "Just food. Anything. Even leftovers." The wind lifted her skirt slightly, revealing boots cracked and worn from miles of walking. She hesitated, then added in a whisper that cut deeper than any plea, "I know I'm not pretty." That made Ethan stiffen. She finally looked up at him, her eyes tired but honest. There was shame there, but also something else. Pride, barely holding together. "My name's Clara Hayes," she said softly. "I'll leave as soon as I eat. I promise." Ethan felt something twist in his chest. He'd seen hunger before. Desperation. But this wasn't begging. This was a woman trying not to break in front of a stranger. "You came a long way," he said at last. Clara nodded. Too far to turn back. Ethan stepped aside and opened the door wider. "That's fine," he said simply. "I don't need fancy. I need honest." Clara blinked, as if she wasn't sure she'd heard him right. You mean it?" "I wouldn't say it if I didn't." Her breath shuddered as she stepped inside. The ranch house smelled of coffee and wood smoke. It was simple but clean. Ethan pulled out a chair at the table while Clara stood awkwardly, unsure where to place herself. "Sit," he said. She obeyed slowly, hands folded tight in her lap. Ethan set a plate of food in front of her, bread, beans, and a bit of beef. Nothing special. But to Clara, it might as well have been a feast. She tried to eat politely. Tried to hide how hungry she really was. But her hands shook as she lifted the fork. "You don't have to rush," Ethan said. Her eyes flicked up, startled by the gentleness in his voice. "Thank you," she whispered. As she ate, Ethan watched quietly. He noticed how her shoulders relaxed with each bite. How the tension slowly left her face. Beneath the dust and exhaustion, Clara was beautiful in a way that had nothing to do with smooth skin or fine clothes. When she finally set the fork down, her eyes filled with tears she clearly hated. "I'll go now," she said quickly, pushing back her chair. Ethan frowned. "It's dark. I said I wouldn't stay. He studied her again, the fragile strength, the stubborn honesty. You can sleep in the spare room, he said. Just for the night. Clara hesitated. Greeted dawn with quiet resolve. And in that moment, with the prairie wind howling outside and the fire sunlight spread across the land, both of touching the grass, the fence posts, this wasn't just the worn boards of Ethan Cole's ranch. It was the beginning of something neither everything had planned, looked the same as it had the day walk before. Away from. But nothing was. Ethan stood outside, rifle resting against the porch rail, watching the horizon. He hadn't slept. Not really. Every sound in the night had pulled him awake, reminding him that peace was never guaranteed on the frontier. Behind him, the door creaked softly. Clara stepped outside, wrapped in a shawl, her hair loose and catching the morning light. She looked tired, but steady. Different from the woman who had knocked on his door weeks ago with nothing but hunger and pride. You should rest, she said gently. So should you. She joined him at the railing, their shoulders brushing. Neither moved away. They won't come back, Ethan said quietly. Not after yesterday. Clara nodded. Still. I need to decide what comes next. Ethan didn't answer right away. He had learned that love wasn't proven by holding on too tightly. I won't stop you, he said at last. If you want to go. Her breath caught. You'd really let me leave? I'd hate it, he admitted. But I won't cage what I care about. She turned to him fully then. All my life, men decided what I was worth, she said. What I could have. What I deserved. Her voice trembled, but she didn't falter. You're the first man who gave me a choice. Ethan swallowed hard. I didn't come here looking for love, Clara continued. I came starving. Afraid. Certain I had nothing to offer. She reached for his hand. But you saw me anyway. He closed his fingers around hers. I don't want to leave, she said softly. I want to stay. Not because I have nowhere else to go, but because this is where my heart chose to stop running. Ethan pulled her into his arms. Not rushed. Not desperate. Certain. The kiss they shared was slow and grounding, like roots settling deep into the soil. When they pulled apart, the prairie seemed to breathe again. Days passed. Then weeks. The ranch changed. Laughter found its way into the mornings. Meals were shared at the table, not eaten in silence. Clara made the house her own, not with fancy things, but with warmth. Curtains sewn from old cloth. Flowers gathered from the field. Small touches that made the place feel lived in. Ethan watched it all in quiet awe. One evening, as the sun dipped low and painted the sky in fire, they stood together by the fence. I used to think being alone made me strong, Ethan said. Turns out, choosing someone does. Clara smiled. I used to think I wasn't enough. She leaned into him. Turns out, she said softly, I was just in the wrong place. Months later, travelers passing through spoke of the ranch differently. They said the land felt warmer there. Kinder. They spoke of a cowboy who no longer ate alone. Of a woman who once asked only for food, and found a forever instead. And when Clara sometimes caught her reflection in the window at dusk, she no longer heard the old whisper. I'm not pretty. Because now, she knew better. She was chosen. She was loved. And the prairie remembered her name. The prairie did not forgive hesitation. By morning, the air felt heavier, as if the land itself sensed trouble moving closer. Clara noticed it first, the way the birds scattered suddenly, the way Ethan checked the horizon more often than usual. Cole Turner's warning lingered like smoke. They worked in silence for most of the morning. Not because there was nothing to say, but because everything felt too important to speak aloud. It was Clara who finally broke it. He'll come back, she said quietly. Ethan didn't deny it. Men like him don't like being told no. I don't want trouble to find you because of me. Ethan stopped what he was doing and turned to face her fully. You didn't bring trouble. Trouble found its way here on its own. She studied his face, strong, weathered, honest. A man who had chosen loneliness over compromise. And now, because of her, he was risking that peace. You could send me away, she said. I'd understand. The words hurt to say. Worse to imagine. Ethan's jaw tightened. I won't. But. I said I won't, he repeated firmly. Not because I feel responsible. Because I want you here. Her eyes filled despite her effort to stay strong. Before she could respond, the distant sound of hooves cut through the air. Ethan reached for his rifle. 2 riders crested the hill this time. Cole Turner was one of them. The second man looked harder. Meaner. The kind of man who smiled only when something was about to break. Stay inside, Ethan said, already moving. I won't hide, Clara replied, her voice steady even as fear curled in her chest. Turner dismounted, slow and deliberate. You had your chance, Cole. I told you to leave, Ethan said. Turner glanced at Clara. I told you women like you don't get choices. That was when Clara spoke. I choose, she said. And I choose him. Turner laughed, sharp and humorless. You don't even know what he is. Ethan stepped forward, rifle lowered but ready. This ends now. The second man moved suddenly. The crack of a gunshot shattered the prairie. Clara screamed. Ethan fired back, forcing them to retreat toward their horses. Dust exploded around them as they fled, Turner shouting something she couldn't hear. When it was over, the silence returned, but it was different now. Fragile. Clara ran to Ethan, her hands shaking as she checked him for blood. Are you hurt? I'm fine, he said, though his heart was still pounding. You? She nodded, then collapsed against him. That night, sleep was impossible. They sat together on the bed's edge, the lamp casting soft shadows across the room. Clara's dress slipped slightly from one shoulder, forgotten in the weight of everything they'd survived that day. They won't stop, she said. I know. What if staying here puts you in danger? Ethan took her hands in his. What if sending you away is worse? Tears slid down her cheeks. I came here for food. I never meant to change your life. You didn't change it, he said gently. You reminded me I still had one. She looked at him then, really looked at him. I don't want to run anymore, she said. But I won't stay unless you truly want me to. Ethan leaned in, resting his forehead against hers. Clara Hayes, I want you here. Not because I need help. Not because I'm lonely. But because I choose you. Her breath hitched. She kissed him, not hesitant this time. Certain. Deep. Outside, the prairie watched silently. Because when choices were made from love instead of fear, there was no turning back. And tomorrow would demand the final answer. The ranch no longer felt like a place Clara was passing through. It felt, lived in. Sunlight streamed through the kitchen window as she stood at the counter, sleeves rolled up, carefully slicing bread. She'd found a faded apron in one of the drawers and tied it around her waist, the fabric hugging her figure in a way she hadn't intended, but hadn't corrected either. Ethan paused in the doorway. For a moment, he forgot to speak. She looked like she belonged there. Like the ranch had been waiting for her without knowing it. You're up early, he said. She glanced over her shoulder and smiled, soft, unguarded. I thought I'd return the favor. He cleared his throat. You don't have to. I want to. That was becoming a pattern. After breakfast, they rode out together to check the fence line. Clara sat behind him on the horse, hands resting lightly at his sides. She tried to keep her distance, but the rhythm of the ride made that difficult. Each step brought her closer, the warmth of him steady and solid beneath her. You ride well, Ethan said. My father taught me, she replied. Before things went wrong. He felt her tense. You don't have to talk about it. I know, she said. But I don't want to keep hiding forever. The prairie stretched endlessly around them, golden and open, as if inviting honesty. I was promised to a man I didn't love, Clara continued quietly. When I refused, I was turned out. They said I'd come crawling back. She lifted her chin. I didn't. Ethan felt something dark stir in his chest. Their loss. She laughed softly. No one's ever said that before. They finished the fence by noon. As they rode back, dust rose behind them, and Clara's skirt fluttered in the wind. Ethan was acutely aware of her closeness, her scent, the way her breath hitched whenever the horse stumbled slightly. When they reached the ranch, a horse stood tied near the post. Not theirs. Ethan's hand tightened on the reins. A man leaned against the fence, chewing on a piece of straw. He was dressed fine, too fine for honest work, and his eyes lingered on Clara in a way that made Ethan's jaw clench. Well now, the man drawled. Didn't expect to find company out here. Clara stiffened. Can I help you? Ethan asked coolly. Name's Cole Turner, the man said. I'm passing through. Saw smoke. Thought I'd say hello. His gaze slid back to Clara. Didn't know you were the sharing type. Ethan stepped subtly in front of her. She's under my roof. Turner smirked. That so? Clara swallowed, her hand brushing Ethan's arm, just barely, but the contact sent a jolt through him. We're not interested, she said firmly. Turner chuckled. Didn't ask. Ethan took a step forward. You've said hello. Now move along. The tension stretched, thick as the dust in the air. Turner's eyes hardened for a moment, then he tipped his hat. No harm meant. As he rode away, Clara let out a shaky breath. I'm sorry, she said. I didn't mean to cause trouble. Ethan turned to her. You didn't. But the prairie had noticed her now. That evening, Clara stood by the mirror in the spare room, staring at her reflection. She looked different, cleaner, stronger. Still not fancy. Still not perfect. But she felt seen. Later, she found Ethan outside by the fire. Are you afraid I'll bring trouble here? She asked quietly. He met her gaze. I'm afraid you'll leave. Her breath caught. I don't want to, she admitted. But I don't know how to stay. Ethan stepped closer. Not touching. Not yet. You don't have to decide tonight, he said. Just, stay. The fire crackled between them. The stars burned bright overhead. For the first time in years, Ethan felt hope rise where loneliness once lived. And Clara realized something else, something terrifying and beautiful. She wasn't just safe here. She was falling.